Hey everyone, I'm Vic Viper.
And I'm Standard Steve.
And I'm Too Big Goomba.
And we are Arcade Decade. Here at Arcade Decade, we want to share our love of all things retro. It's video gaming from a Gen X perspective. From Pong to today, we got you covered. Today we are ranking our favorite NES games.
Each of us has decided that we're going to have our own criteria for what made our list and why it's on the list. And we're going to explain that before we start. So to kick us off, 2-Bit Goomba is going to tell us what his criteria were for his top 10 list.
So what I did was, I thought, like when I was a kid, what Nintendo games did I play? So some of these have some nostalgic to it. It may not be your number one, but be my number one.
Yeah, pretty much the same here. I mean, there's games that hold up really well. There's games that don't, but as far as just a fun factor, just games that I love, it was really hard for me to get more, to whittle it down to 10. There were some great games.
Like, we had an issue with that.
I could have easily done like a top 50 with this. Top 25, it felt unjust to leave some of these off the board.
Right.
You know, maybe someday I'd like to go back and, do a top 25 of these games at least, but...
And my criteria, I took a little bit of a different approach. I'm a bit musically based, so music stuck with me a lot in video games. So that factored in a little bit, but for me, I really took those games in the NES, which were watershed moments, the things that if I have a memory or if I hear a game or if I see a cover, really means something and has that has stuck with me over the decades.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, there's things you can look at a cover of a game or just a cover of one of these, you look at that and it just triggers back those memories.
Especially if it's a Mega Man cover and you wonder what in the world happened with that stuff. That was some good stuff. That was some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, so we figured we'd rank our top 10s. We're going to start with number 10, and you guys ready to get into it?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So first off, I think we're probably going to have quite a bit of crossover. What do you think? How much crossover do you think we're going to have?
Some crossover.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 50%. So.
I'd say you and I are going to be pretty tight as far as
you two
our
will,
favorites
definitely.
Are.
Probably.
I'm going to have some different ones on there, but most of the people will probably like my games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to like mine better. That's just because, I don't know.
You didn't put Chubby Cherub on there, or Magamax, wherever that game is.
Oh, no, I have to take it off now.
Yeah, I think we'll get a good deal of that. So, all right.
Number 10.
So my number 10 was pro wrestling, and I know a lot of the things you're going to see on my list have to do with sports because I have an older brother, and we always played sports games together. And what was cool, we'd always have all his friends come over, and they were older than me, but they all crowd in my room. And we'd be playing Nintendo on this little TV. And this room, my bedroom, was about the size of people's walk-in closets now. So it was really tiny. But it was some good memories. But pro wrestling, that was the coolest. I remember Starman. Remember those characters?
Yeah. He was my guy.
Love Starman, and who was it? The Amazon. He would bite your face off and everything.
King Kong Corn. His name was.
So these guys.
Great Panther.
Oh yeah,
the names are about as ridiculous as pro wrestling can be.
Starman is still my. He's my on PlayStation 5. He's my.
Oh, you can't beat that. You can't beat the costume. His kick flips, that was the best. But you couldn't beat this game. It was so hard because if you lost one, you had to go basically start over from the beginning. You had to go undefeated, and you had to get two. I think you had to win two championship belts, to get to the end. Then you got to the character. I don't even know the end character's name because. Never got to him, but I mean, it was just, but just playing it and that music on it, I was, big into the music too. Just like Steve said, once that starts, I just get right into it, Mm-hmm. So that's my top 10. That's my 10.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good call. I don't think it'd make it on mine, but just I remember that. I was a big brother, right? So a lot of the stuff that, my little brother played with me, I used to house him on. Then it came on, we used to play Madden when he got a little older. Yeah, then he just surpassed me,
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Me next? All right. I think I'm going to cause a little controversy with my number 10 there. My number 10 is Dr. Mario. And for a lot of the same reasons that 2-Bit Goomba said, is that this was one of those games, and when I think back, I have played with other people a ton. This is one of those games where it was the competition set in, and it wasn't a sports game, it was a puzzle game. So I was absolute butt at sport games. So like I don't, you won't see a bunch of that on my list, but I've played this with everyone from siblings, my wife, pastors. I've played this game with everyone and anyone. This is one of those games that you could pick up, and that song, you're hearing it in your head right now. I promise you are hearing that song in your head. And it would go over and over and over. And it was just so much fun. And I guess I like it a lot because I was better at it than most of those people I played with.
Yeah, because I play with you.
And my wife, who was totally not into video games, we got an emulator cabinet. She was like, but does it have Dr. Mario? And that's one of those things that makes it really stick out for me and why it made my list. That 10th spot, and we were saying that the front half of my list was super easy to do. Those last few spots, finding things to fill those last few spots, it did feel like an injustice cutting a few things off. But this is, again, going back to those watershed things, those things where it was a game that brought everyone together, even people who hate games.
Yeah. Remember the time, so we do something every year called the Arcade Olympics, where we take some arcade games and we basically play 5 of them and we all compete against each other. We tried it one time with the NES games, and Dr. Mario was one that came up, and we're just, okay, you know, I have to wait 15 minutes for to finish it. We kind of lost interest. We never did that again. So
I still have nightmares.
You're stuck
over
with
that.
quick burn, you know, arcade games after that. So, okay, cool. All right, my number 10 is Shadowgate. Anybody ever play that?
Yeah,
I've heard
I
of
didn't
it.
get too far into it because that was an investment, and I remember loving it.
Oh yeah.
But
speaking of the music too, that music, it's Kemco, what was the company? It was the music was amazing. It just drew you right in too. But what I loved about it was just I'd never played anything like it. It's one of those Mac Venture games. It's been done since, you know, in the form of like the LucasArts games, the Scum Engine ones, like Monkey Island and Day of the Tentacle and stuff. But that was different. That just had something else. It's like you could be playing that game and you're like, okay, like what do I do? And you really need to think about it. You need to figure it out. You need to look down and look at everything on there. And you're talking 8-bit graphics. So there'd be a time like, you know, you look, that waterfall. There's like a gap on the side of it.
Yeah.
You got to click in there and like, whoa, there's a whole new other place right back there, you know. And then there's there was like one of the things on a cobblestone floor. There was the tiniest little handle, like it looked like a shape of a staple, you know.
Oh,
and if you
goodness.
missed that, you know what I mean, you would not pull that up to find that. It was such a journey of discovery with this game. It was just so cool. Like it stuck with me this day. I still go back and play it. Now I can fly through it, but
I don't think I'd be able to pick all that out.
Oh yeah, that was a great game. Yeah, that's my number 10.
Number 9er.
Should I go? All right.
All right.
All right, here we go. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. Bo Jackson, baby.
Oh, yes.
Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Tecmo Bowl.
I have a shirt, my Tecmo. One of these videos I'll wear it.
Oh, you got to wear that. That's the best.
Yeah.
Listen, he's an older brother. He used to beat his, younger brother at games. My brother used to kick my butt at this game all the time until I found Bo Jackson.
Oh,
Once
yeah.
I found Bo
Yeah.
Jackson, I started kicking his butt.
Right.
And it felt good, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It feels good to beat your older brother.
Right. Did you ever see that Family Guy video where the
Oh, yeah.
It's a good one.
When he's running up and down the field
Yeah.
and he can't catch him. That's the best.
I got Bo Jackson. You know, and he's like running like loops around everybody.
Oh, so I was playing... So I coach cross country, and we went to States, and I brought my Nintendo, the little mini Nintendo, and I was playing my assistant coach, who's like 20 years younger than me. Didn't know what Tecmo Bowl was, so I was like, yes, and he's good at gaming. So I ended up, taking Bo Jackson and just destroying him, and it was great. It felt good also. So take Bo Jackson anytime you could.
Definitely. I'm a huge fan of that game. Loved it. Tecmo Bowl, Tecmo Super Bowl, loved that. And I was a big fan of Bo Jackson back in the day and Brian Bosworth. And I remember playing I was always a Steelers fan, but but when it comes to Seattle, when it comes to Seattle, I liked that team at the time. And I liked being Brian Bosworth, and I liked seeing when I intercepted, I'd like you'd see his name flash up, for a touchdown and stuff like that. It was awesome. Really cool. Steve Largent.
For me with Tecmo, and like I love those games. I was never into football, but that was an arcadey style, and it was easy for someone like me to get into. And I was a huge Dolphins fan back in the day. Still don't know why, but I am a Dolphins fan. And I just remember
Marino.
Yeah, you had Marino, and you picked that shotgun play, and it was almost impossible to defend against. So you would like wait 7 seconds and just loft the ball, and it was almost always a completion. It was crazy how broken it was in that aspect. Not Bo Jackson broken, but broken.
Yeah, that was pretty
Right,
bad.
they had certain players who could just do amazing things with them.
Yeah.
I mean, Bo Jackson back in the day was an amazing athlete anyway. So
Yeah,
I mean, he ran up walls when he played baseball. They played 2 sports.
Unbelievable.
It was just cool. But Tecmo Bowl still played today, right? And there's other games that kids play. It's not called Tecmo Bowl, but it's
like Retro Bowl.
Retro
Like
Bowl, right? It's based on Tecmo Bowl. So I mean, this has surpassed the test of time.
And not to mention, there's fan support. They update the rosters every year.
Right.
The TecmoBowl.org. They have
Right.
that.
I think you had one, right? It was
I get
updated
every year. I got them every year.
for
I
players
got them.
today. That was really cool.
It's not as good though. It's the players today.
I do drift back sometimes. They had a remaking.
man.
They had a remaking of that on the PlayStation 3. Remember that one? And they didn't have the original rosters and stuff. And it was I had to go in and plug them all in because I was just needed to do that.
Oh, you have to.
A little bit of OCD in there.
Yeah, definitely.
You OCD? Nah.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Who else?
My number 9.
All right.
And again, this is going to be probably slightly controversial, but it's in the same reason why I picked Dr. Mario as my 10. My number 9?
Duck on that.
Duck Hunt.
Oh, Duck Hunt. Okay.
I remember as a kid, and this is before I was even into games, like very young, we used to go on vacation every summer, and my dad was never a huge gamer. He played 2 things in his life, and one of them was when I got a Game Boy and he stole Tetris.
Yeah.
And like he had that Game Boy more than I did. It sat on his table next to his recliner. But
That's cool.
and when we went to the arcades, when we were out on vacation, there was this game, I think it was like Quick Draw or Gunslinger or something. It was real actors on a screen, and you had that light gun.
Fast
and you
Draw
had
Showdown, was
yeah,
it?
something
Yeah.
like that, whatever it was. But like, I played that once or twice, and I remember like he used to play that. And then when we got this game where we had a light gun in the house, and,
cool
and
is
most
that?
people don't realize like Nintendo actually focused a lot more on peripherals than they did on the games because when the NES first came out, gaming was still considered a little bit of taboo, a little bit toxic, and if you sold it as a toy,
Because of the crash.
Yeah.
They got burned in the video game in 83, wasn't it? Or 80, whatever that was.
What
so
happened with
they had Rob, they had the light gun, eventually came out with the power glove, so they were selling toys,
Right.
and the
Robot.
games came along with it.
Yeah.
So but Duck Hunt was one of those things, man. Nothing. If you want to see rage, it's that dog laughing at you, and that's the start of most gamers' rage. Our age,
Everyone
I
is
have
shot
chills.
that. Everyone.
It makes fun
several
of you.
times, dog, boom, 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 and
You can never shoot the dog, though.
No.
But it was cool getting good with a gun and your parents not, really being upset about it. Like it was just a
Right.
fun game. You could pass along, try to beat
wasn't
each other's
violent,
scores,
yeah.
and it was a arcade style game that worked on your screen. That was just awesome, and I think that was just one of the reasons why this one has always stuck with me. Just still feel you listen to this.
I know.
You hear that, you can feel that. That was just holding this thing in your hand and having that game in your home. This was pure awesome.
Yeah.
That's what made Nintendo great, though.
Yeah.
It was in your house. You didn't
Yeah.
have to go put quarters in, to an arcade. You could play an arcade game in your house and with your family. Like, it meant something.
Yeah.
And you had your friends over. It wasn't like today where, you're online, you're at your house, your friends are at their house. You're actually sitting next to someone and playing games. Like, that was cool.
Yeah, and that's actually why they marketed it as Nintendo Entertainment Center instead of video game system because of that crash. People were a little iffy because they got burned on, all the ET cartridges and everything from the.
Wait, that exists?
Yeah, and if you remember, they had the gyromite stacked in there.
Yeah.
That everybody probably had that on theirs mostly. That was pretty hard.
Was
Had
that
like the-
1985?
Yeah, had the gyros that spun around. You had to drop them on things and play along with the game.
I knew it, I just never could afford it.
Yeah,
they were expensive.
And this Zapper had so many cool games too. I mean, you had Hogan's Alley, you had Gumshoe. There was I love Freedom Force. There was another one, Sunsoft I think had that one. There was Gotcha. Remember Gotcha? It was a
Oh
little
my gosh.
paintball at the time. Yeah.
I had one of those guns, man. That's a story for another time.
What's on Back to the Future when he has the gun? What game was he playing?
That
Wild
was
Gunman?
Wild Gunman. Yeah,
Wild Gunman, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Okay, so
What's
my
yours?
number 9 is Dragon Warrior. Or Dragon Quest in Japan. Okay, so
That's a good call.
So I did play Final Fantasy 1, and this beat that out for my best JRPG. Now, Final Fantasy 2 I played. I was not a big fan of that. I never really played anyone. I didn't play anyone in the first one. I didn't play Dragon Warrior 2, 3, or 4, and I always wanted to. I still have them kind of on my bucket list. Really like to come back and play those again. My one gripe with that was, like, remember when you got the compass, there was like 2 things you could find, I think, wasn't there? And that was about it. It's kind of like, I think it would have been
You
cool
were
to explore with
searching
that
for
compass.
Erdrick's armor.
Yeah.
You were trying to find those
In
two
the swamp,
pieces.
in the middle of the swamp, yeah. But I love that game, man. That was just so cool. I just, like, we sat down and we just played that through, all the cool, palette swaps and stuff. They have a lot of the same guys. Same was with Phantasy Star back in the day.
Right.
Oh, which reminds me of the other thing I want to say with this, too. The Sega, the Master System had their light gun, and that was a little more precise. It didn't make the click, but I just something about this. I love it so much more.
And this was the thing with, the combo cartridge, Super Mario, Duck Hunt, when packaging with it, that was brilliant. That was just brilliant right from the bat, putting both of those things together and putting them in there, getting people to play things that really highlight the system, and that's why I think it still sits. That's why Mario is still so big. It's that putting things out there right in the beginning.
Pudding.
I did say pudding.
Oh,
I could go for some
pudding.
Yeah,
I love that. Let's get some pudding.
Yeah, Dragon Warrior, I thought, like, it was pretty much my intro into like the JRPG genre. Like, I played Phantasy Star a little while afterwards. Loved that game too for the Master System, but this is where it's at.
Yeah, Dragon
Definitely. That's my number.
Some
9.
of those are rare, the Dragon Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember collecting back in 1999, 2000, when no one cared about Nintendo games whatsoever. So I would go into my friend's attic and say, "Oh, I'll give you $20 for this whole slew of games." Oh, yeah, take them. I mean, I went from literally, I had, as a kid, not too many games, but I had like 15, 16 games, and then something happened to them. I don't know if my brother took them or gave them away.
Yeah.
I had about 2 games. So back in 1999, 2000, when I did this, I ended up with 100 games after that. So I just read Go in People's Attic, and I paid, again, I always say $20. Okay.
Still have them all?
Still have them all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
do you-
my number 9.
Number 9, all right.
Number 8. Great.
My turn.
Go for it.
All right, my number 8 is Double Dribble.
Ooh.
I played this game so much with my brother. Again, could not beat him until I learned how to shoot from the corner. Once you shoot from the corner, I could never miss from there. I love this game. It was fast-paced. It only had a couple teams on it, but it was just a fun game to play. And I love the halftime show. They like the cheerleaders jumping in it, and just the music. It was just a great game to play.
Oh, man. Konami was so hot back then. They could do no wrong.
Oh, Konami,
They're
I know.
amazing.
Definitely a good video game company.
Yeah. So wasn't there a spot that you can hit? I remember there's a spot you can go to hit every time or something. Wasn't that like you were
That's what I did.
unstoppable?
Right from the corner.
Yeah.
The corner would do it,
Yeah.
but then if you get close to the rim, if you're like dribbling close to the rim, it would like go to a graphic where you're like look like Dominique Wilkins, like dunking.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was really cool as a kid. That was fun. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's some good aspects of that game. Definitely high replay value on that game. Love
Probably
it.
my favorite basketball game until NBA Jam.
I was just going to
Yeah.
say NBA
Oh,
Jam.
yeah.
That just took things to a different level. All right. My number 8. Oh, absolutely loved this game. With the exception of the length and the ability to get lost continuously, the Guardian Legend. This game is, if it's not a more well-known one, but people who really enjoy this type, or actually types of game,
yeah.
because it was half action adventure,
Half shoot 'em
half
up.
shoot 'em up. And it was an amazing blend of both. Great music, great gameplay in both. Your power-ups actually carried from one to the next, because the story is it's this woman who's trying to save this planet, and she actually can transform into the ship. So you're on these walking levels doing these, trying to get power-ups, trying to get through this labyrinth to save this planet, which is brutally difficult because you can get easily lost. You have to really be able to pay attention to the mini-map, but then you transform into the ship and use those power-ups to do another level. Just fantastic game, fantastic music, great story, great presentation, a little janky from time to time, some slowdown, but overall loved this game.
Yeah,
That sounds awesome. I never played that game.
Yeah,
and I want to play it.
Yeah, I never really got into playing that one. Yeah, I'll put that on my list.
Yeah, definitely worth a try.
Yeah.
I have to pick that one up. You have an attic I could go to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't have mine.
So, my number 8. Now, this felt like a crime putting this so low, but there are just so many great NES games.
I know.
So, my number 8 is Mega Man, okay? So, I didn't want to make a list of Mega Man games, my favorite games. Couldn't do that. So, I had to pick my favorite of those Mega Man games. 2 was probably undeniably a better game. I love 2. 3 was good too. But I got to pick number 1, the original. Just the memories it left, the challenge of it all. I thought 2 was a lot more easier than 1. 1 was tough.
It's a fair argument for that. I can't argue against it. I can't.
Yeah, just a cool way. Everybody knows Mega Man at this point.
Right.
You beat the enemy, you get their power. Just so much cool. You didn't have to pick you could pick who you want to do first. Yes, there was definitely a way that worked best. Defeat that enemy with the prior one, and
You could pick any final guy you want to fight.
Yeah.
And in
Better
your
off
order.
with Bomb Man, of course, but he's the easiest first guy. Go with him, then you. Well, there's no order to it, but yeah, definitely Mega Man. Like I said, crime to put it at 8, but man, I love those games. Love them.
I know, man. Well, how many are there? There's a ton of them.
11 of the regular ones.
Yeah, if you just count the core.
Yeah, then there's Mega Man X, and then there's those Mega Man Command missions. There's the
how many on Nintendo?
The whole 0.
All those on
there's
Nintendo?
six on Nintendo.
Yeah.
6 on Nintendo.
Then there was 7, 8 were on PlayStation. 9 and 10 were new releases. 11 is actually out now, I think, right? They're coming out or something. And then there's the SNES had one of them too. Didn't that had like?
Did it?
Yeah,
I thought that's when they.
That went to Mega Man X.
Yeah,
I love those games too. But
yeah, it was.
You got to give love to the original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
pretty much what I
agree with that now.
Yeah, that's my number 8.
All right.
Number 7.
All right, we're number 7.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're on number 7. Let's see what 2-Bit Goomba has for our sports game at 7.
This is not a sports game.
Oh, you ruined me.
Yeah.
Not a sports game. This game is a game that really no one in my neighborhood had. And before I tell you what it was, so my father, he sold like supplies and things like that. So he had his own business. So in my 11-year-old brain, I was like, I want my dad to sell Nintendo tapes. Mm-hmm. So I begged my father, because he sold industrial supplies. He sold those things. So I went to my dad. I said, can you sell Nintendo tapes? Call Nintendo. So he actually did call the company. He set everything up and did not say, they told him no, basically. But they gave him one game.
It was like, what are Nintendo tapes?
Exactly, but they mailed him this game.
Atari tapes, Nintendo tapes.
Yeah. So we got a free game out of it. But I was like, oh, this is cool. Mm-hmm. So this game was Xanic.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I don't think anyone ever knew what it was at the time. But this game, it was a vertical game. You were a spaceship. It was kind of like psychedelic 3D, but it had really cool music to it. And like I said, it was super hard.
Yeah.
Super hard. I could never beat the game.
Right.
Super hard. But just a fun, again, high replay value. Played it all the time. Even to this day, as soon as that intro comes in, like I'm all in again.
Yeah.
One of those cool games. But it was free. And sadly, in my mind, my dad was going to sell all the Nintendo games, and I was going to own every Nintendo game that there ever was. But I got one, and that was it, Xanic. So that is my number 7.
Xanic, I remember, had a cool thing about it where if you like, the better you did, the more harder it became, didn't it? Didn't it have some kind of way?
Oh, I guess I was the best at it because it got
Yeah,
super hard.
Yeah,
Super hard.
yeah. I think there was something I remember about that.
I didn't know that, but I know it. Yeah,
My other friend.
It
had
does
that
start
game.
off very easy. Everything comes slow, and all of a sudden, everything comes at you.
Yeah.
But you have to get certain power-ups to
Yeah.
get through the levels. If you get the right power-ups. Sometimes you get power-ups like you get the ring, you get like a shield in front, and that just goes away so fast you die quickly. You know, you got to get all the missiles, and then they have this little like glow ball that comes down. But if you have to get so many of those, so you can get more missiles like to shoot.
Yeah.
But without that, you can't get through the game. So it was just really neat. It was a neat game, and it was free, so that was neat.
Interesting.
Free is always good.
Right.
Wow. We got.
All right, number 7. We don't really have to talk about this because it's Dragon Warrior. I'm totally on board with your analysis there. I loved it. Out of all of the JRPGs, it really did. The colors, the introduction to the systems, and the music and the lore in there, trying to figure out things that we talked about, searching for Erdrick's armor, and that was a huge power up, and it was a huge boost, and like you had to really search for this thing. You had clues, you talked to people, and that it was just overall a great game. Overall, a great introduction for probably a lot of kids our age to the JRPG genre. And still going to this day. I know it took a hiatus for a while, and like you, I played bits of 2, but I didn't get into the other ones. I hear 4 is fantastic. I really want to when I get the time go into it and do that. But Dragon Warrior, I have great memories about the music and everything about that game. Killing slimes all day, all day.
Yeah, the slime. And then there was that one knight. I thought he was the coolest looking thing. He was like light blue and red. Remember that guy? Like, that was so cool. Yeah.
Great character designs. Just good all around game.
I went back to monkey around with that too, and I'm like, oh man, this could have really done with a mouse. You know what I mean? Like it's the look at the menu, like a lot of things to talk.
You're right. You're right.
Otherwise, awesome game.
But you can't beat the 2-button controller.
Right.
I
With
love
the
that.
corners that jag into your thing and give us carpal tunnel way too early.
Have you ever heard of Nintendo Thumb? It was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So back in the day, kids played so much, you would get Nintendo
get the
Thumb
blister here
just
from sliding it.
just from doing that, playing like track and field or things like that, and kids would get that. I remember my one friend's mom. Now, I'll talk about this friend later, but my one friend's mom said, "Listen, I don't want you to get Nintendo Thumb. You have to go to the YMCA." So we all had to go and get memberships to the YMCA, and they had a children's program. We had to go there, so we had to get Nintendo Thumb. So it was a thing. It was real.
See, back in my days, we had calluses to protect us from the Nintendo Thumb.
You were
make it
tough. You were
That prepared
tough.
me for playing guitar. You know, like you really you built up those calluses.
Yeah.
Nintendo made me stronger.
All right. So my 7, right? We're at 7, right?
True.
All right. So my 7 is Metroid. Okay. Yeah. So Metroid, first game with a surprise ending. You know what I mean? You know what that is. You know.
Yeah.
You find out that it's You find out that it's you do this and it's hey. I didn't get the best one. Multiple endings, mind you.
Okay.
So there was I think there's 3 different endings. One where you just your normal suit, one where you have your mask off, and then one where you have like just a bikini on. So
Okay.
So that was like if you beat it, that was the best ending. And then I remember I got it and like, wow, he has like long hair. I'm like, oh, and I had to figure it out.
Heat.
So, again, I mean that's
Dude's wearing a bikini.
If I got that in there, I probably would have figured it out right off the top. But
Which is cool, right?
yeah. Now, a lot of backtracking, but I liked it. You know, I mean, it was cool. Like, you're like, oh, I remembered something like this. If you go back, you get something that would allow, and again, it spawned a whole genre of, which, Metroidvania, which I hate that title.
Yeah.
It's, but
it's what it is.
It's a Metroid style game, not a Metroidvania style game. Whatever. I'm not getting into that. But anyways, yeah, so the exploration, the hidden items, but oh man, that just stuck with me. It was so cool. They had the bosses in there. You had the 2 bosses. When you took down that mother brain at the end, oh man, so rewarding. Yeah. So cool. Love that game.
Definitely a great game.
Great music too.
Oh yeah.
Great music.
All Nintendo had great music.
Yeah.
Not all, but most.
Well, you're the music expert,
Oh yeah, that's the soundtrack. You recognize it all the time. And with a little bit off topic, but you remember when Metroid Prime came out and they were saying, it's going to be like a first person, oh no, oh my goodness, that game was so good. They kept everything. They kept the ambiance. They kept the platforming the way it should. You could roll into the ball and
What was that on the
So
Wii?
great.
What was that on?
That was on the GameCube.
GameCube,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah,
GameCube. Those games were like $70 though.
Yeah,
they
there's
were really
ridiculous.
They had
expensive.
a lot of games, but
I had the
a lot of
Star
great
Wars
games.
game
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
It was like $70.
Yeah.
I ended up getting rid of that. I think I got a PlayStation 1 or something.
For the,
like that.
are you talking to the
Oh, N64. I was
N64?
thinking.
They were, yeah, because there was
No,
the
the
Shadows
Game-
of the
yeah.
Empire. Shadows
Yes,
of the
that's what I
Empire
got.
was the
I was
because
getting
they
confused.
were the cartridge form, and
Yes,
they
they
were
were
like
cartridges.
$78 back then.
When
and
everybody was CDs at the time, they were
Yep.
still cartridges of 70.
Yeah.
But I did have a GameCube though. I did have one.
Yeah.
And that was a cool system. I remember that now. Star Fox was that was
that was out for the N64. Yeah,
I'm getting confused though.
it was
But I
actually
did
out
have
for
a-
it was out for the SNES first.
Yeah.
Star Fox was So
Let's move
Yeah.
on because I'm
All right.
confusing.
right on. Okay, cool.
Number 6. Yeah.
All right, so my number 6, I actually paid. So I was in 4th grade, and I actually paid a kid in my class 75 cents for this code to get. And I guess he got the code from the Nintendo magazine. What was Nintendo magazine?
Extortionist, isn't it?
I know this kid must be like a CEO or
he's got
something.
all
Oh,
the
right,
cheaters.
entrepreneur.
But anyway, I end up paying this money for a game I didn't even own. I didn't even own the game yet, but I knew I wanted the game really bad. So this game was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Oh.
And I had the code for Mike Tyson, and I had to get this game. And I still remember it. 007-373-5963. I still remember that code because I paid 75 cents for it.
You should have sold it. Now you just gave it for free.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Could have got $1.80 out of it.
I could have made money. But this game was amazing when I got it. I mean, I just love the fact that you're what, Little Mac, you're the underdog, you know, you're fighting these big guys and you're winning and you actually go through, you torment yourself, right? You got to run on, what is it? Your trainer is on the bike behind you, you're running ahead, you're through New York.
yeah.
I mean, you're in,
But my question is, how would you know all that if you just put the code in and went straight to Tyson?
Right.
well,
you must.
because I lost in 3 seconds, that's why.
Yeah.
So I
I
went
was
back to
going
the
to say
beginning
what a
and said,
mistake that was.
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I said, I need to go back and fight class Joe, you know?
You really jump right in like, I am not ready.
Exactly. It gave me a lesson of life.
I need to go train hard.
Right. You need to train your way to the top. That's it. Yeah, so I did that. But the cast of characters in that game,
Yeah.
I mean, would not be made today, I feel like.
Nope.
Very stereotypical.
Fantastically so.
Yeah.
And I won't even get into the characters because you all know them. And if you
Yeah.
don't, play the game. I think they actually changed the... Mike Tyson wasn't even... When they redid the game, it was like Mr. Dream or something.
Mr. Dream.
Yeah, because
know.
of the controversy that when he went to jail and stuff, they
With Mike
kinda
Tyson, yeah.
distanced themselves from that.
But if you never play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, play it. And if you ever fight Mike Tyson, like, you will lose in 50 seconds. But I did beat Mike Tyson. I did
Really?
beat, yes, I did beat him.
It's on my
I
bucket
learned.
list.
It was, can I do it now? No, but I
No.
did as a 12-year-old boy. I did, and I probably had the game for, like, what, 2 years before I could beat him. But I did it. So that was cool.
Yeah. I've
So-
gotten to, was it Super Macho Man before him? I
Yeah.
could beat him every time. I got to
He had that
Tyson.
spin move. He would, like, spin around.
I never beat Tyson. It's still haunts
It's
me to this
all
day. It's on my
timing.
bucket list.
I look at the clock and I knew exactly when he was going to
Yeah.
throw that first punch because his first punches, if he touched you, you automatically were
Right.
knocked
Yeah.
out. And well, not knocked out. You're knocked down. You get 3 times. Till it's a
Yeah.
TKO. But then at I think 2:35, he switches his punches, so then he won't knock you out. But you have to make it for 2 minutes and 35 seconds of the first round. After that, you could keep going.
Yeah.
But you have to time it out.
And you mentioned those, like some of those names. Some of them were changed. Like Soda Popinski was originally Vodka Drunkinski. And then, yeah.
Because he would drink the bottle of soda, but
Yeah.
it was actually vodka. He was a Russian, right? And
Piston Honda was something else too, if I recall. And
Really?
then
King Hippo, and then
he wasn't in
Bobo.
it. There was Bear Hugger was in the.
Oh, the original.
Yeah,
It was an
the
arcade game.
Yeah.
So this
yeah.
was an arcade game.
Yeah. But yeah, oh man,
Yeah.
that was like the arcade game was really great. The graphics were cool because they were so huge, but man, those nothing like Punch Out.
And Nintendo always put Mario in all the games. Like
Yeah.
they tried to.
Yeah.
So he was
Yeah.
the referee, Mario.
yeah,
That was cool. And then you got the power up, the stars.
yeah,
And then you got the super punch. I mean, so it was just a great game, and being a shorter Italian, and then I felt with Little Mac.
yeah.
I bonded with him. So it was
Yeah.
that is my number
Yeah.
6.
Definitely
so that's my
great
number
pick.
6.
Yeah, great pick. Great pick. I love that game.
Yeah, there was definitely some of that. The thing about that, and what attracts me to harder difficulty games like that with Punch Out, the thing that I want to say in this is that figuring out that pattern,
Right.
you know, like you're the first time you get to, what was the guy's name? Tiger. What the heck is his name?
Great Tiger.
Great Tiger.
Great Tiger, yeah.
And you know, like you were kind of cruising until that point. You got into the groove with the left, right, and knocking the snot out of some guys.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this guy comes out with a special move where he's running around the ring. But
Yeah.
learning. You know, dying and
Right.
learning. It's like the Dark Souls principle,
Yes.
but in a boxing game with
Right.
a guy who bites people's ears off. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
every character had something special about them.
Right.
A move that you had to figure it out. So I think his was he had like a little gem in
yeah,
the middle,
that
and
would
it
twinkle.
would twinkle, and then you knew he was going to make his move. So,
Yeah.
but you didn't know that when you first
Right.
did it.
Right, you have
So
to
it
die,
is-
rinse, repeat.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. The surprising amount of depth, like with that game, you know, for an 8-bit
For
game.
just a
I
boxing
know,
game,
like,
8-bit
it was
boxing
so,
game.
like, so cool. Like, and even to this day, they're finding stuff about it that, you know, to see where they had that, where there was like someone took a picture in the crowd or stuff. That means that was a time to hit ball bull. Or, remember?
Oh,
that?
no,
Really?
oh,
They're still to this
I
day, they're
think I
finding
do remember
stuff
that, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's such a great game.
I love that those creators put little
My one
things in.
gripe about that, it was like, it was so cool, but some guys you had to fight twice. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, okay, some other guy.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, give me a new guy. Right, I agree. I
But
agree.
that's the only thing I love.
Piston Honda had to fight Ball Bullet, had to fight twice. Yeah. Yeah.
Don Flamenco, which was a lot hard the second time. He must have got on the bicycle and went, you know.
So how about Last Joe? He's 99-1.
Yeah,
No, he's 1-99, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who'd he beat?
I heard a theory
You the
about
first
this.
time you fired up the game.
Right. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Before you knew what was going on, that's
Yeah.
his one.
Yeah.
You
He
know?
had 1 win and 99 losses. So who'd he beat?
I
He beat
heard-
one of the characters in that game.
In Super Punch Out, I think it was. Like one of those guys like the Nick Bruiser, one of the tough guys in it or
Yeah.
something. Like he beat him. I don't know what the
Last Joe's old, so maybe
I
when
know.
he was
Yeah, I
younger,
don't know.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Funny fact, Piston Honda. Honda got its start as a piston making company,
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
where the little homage.
Makes
Came
sense.
from. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Great
There's a
game.
long story about that, but that's another video
All
when we do
right.
our history channel.
Right on.
All right, number 6 for
Let's
me.
hope. Please subscribe.
I tried to keep things like you said to 1 per series. So if I picked one in the series on that, because I could load this list with probably 3 series.
I know you're good.
But this one, and this is I know I'm gonna cause trouble with this, but my number 6, Super Mario 3. Out of all the Super Marios, it is the most complete game. Love the first one. The second one was a little weird, but still really enjoyed it. You know, still
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I can go back and play both of those any day, but 3, the color, the ability to turn into different things, that weird board game selection screen, and the hidden things that were in there, mini games with the slots trying to get power-ups and
Yeah.
stuff. It is...
Brought the map by the
Yeah, there's it is really, and by a lot of people's standards, a complete game. It
Yeah.
is the complete Nintendo game, and you see it at the top. I like Mario. I don't love it to the point where I'm going to put it at the top of my list. I recognize it as a great game. It sits at number 6 on mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I imagine most people probably would rank that higher. But yeah, that's
So most people don't use my criteria.
true. That is true.
I do love a Mario.
Right. So my number 6, and this might cause some people might think this should be higher too. Contra. Yeah.
Contra,
The
yes.
run and gun NES champ. Man, what could be said about this game? One of those cases where the NES version was even better, than the arcade game.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. A couple of those, actually. I'd like to talk about that sometime, too. Some of those games that I think the NES or console version was better than the original. But, pardon me. So, Contra, I always love this idea, right? So you look at in the arcades, you look at the loading screen, you see what's clearly Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rambo right behind him. Like, this would be the most ultimate movie ever made.
Exactly.
And they're fighting aliens. This is the coolest thing ever. And then you get to that part where there's an alien fighting there, which like that big alien with the tentacles and stuff like that's even cooler than the arcade. It was such a great game, man. It was just so good and quite challenging. unless you know the secret.
And at this point, everyone knows the secret.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? I mean, let's be honest.
I always dreamed like that there would be a movie that would come out, and those guys would join forces and make a Contra movie back in the day. I thought that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Not to be done, unfortunately.
No, they'll never make something like that
Yeah.
now.
They would not reconcile those two until they did the Expendables.
Yeah.
Together, so
I gotta see that movie.
it's a good movie. I like it. It's fun. It's a fun movie. 1 and 2.
I mean, Contra made my honorable mention. Definitely love that.
Ooh.
Well, I know, but never. My criteria is nostalgia. My criteria is as a child. Even though I did have that game later on, but love it.
Just say.
But again, I just say it's up, up, down, down, left, right. BA select start.
Yeah.
30 plus lives. Boom.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows
that's
that.
a code of bad choices for you.
I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we start to lose friends. Okay, this is once we get into this top thing, we're gonna have probably some same but totally different opinions, and we are gonna lose friends. It's just gonna.
Don't listen to them.
Contra would take like double dribble and.
Contra could kill Bo Jackson. I'm just saying.
Contra could kill Bo
Listen,
Jackson.
Contra's cool. You play with your friends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is an awesome game. You don't have that. You don't have that where you can play like two players. I always like the two-player games. I'm team-orientated. Like, I love that. Love being on a team. That game, right up my alley. But I need the 30 guys. You're crazy.
Oh, I know.
Not to get the 30 guys,
I
right?
did get far. I remember getting to the... there's a snowboard and then the one after that. I remember getting to that as far as I got. But that was... I remember getting pretty far on that one.
You had to keep up.
Like, farther than people I knew. It's the same thing with the Ninja Turtles. That game was... Oh, that game was so
Let's not talk about that.
Right, I know. But that was like, I got really far in that game.
Moving on.
Almost beat it. But, yeah. So anyways, that's my pick. Contra.
All right. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Check.
Number 5. Boom.
All right. So, my turn?
Go for it.
All right. So, my number 5 is Super Mario Brothers 2. Now, reason I picked this, again, back in 1988, dating myself, this was one of the toughest games.
You did that often.
Listen, if you get lonely enough, you gotta do it. But in 1988, it was one of the hardest games to get for Christmas. If you did, like, you were lucky. I got lucky. My mom was good at that. Like, I don't know how she did it, but she'd always get the game. She always gets some type of toy, wait in line for hours. I don't know how she
scored
did
some
it.
Cabbage Patch Kids too back in those days.
Well, I didn't do that. But I'm sure if I did, my mom would have it. But she, got this game for me. And I was like every kid at Christmas, screaming and yelling. I couldn't believe I had it, like ripping it open and seeing it. It was like the happiest time of my life.
Love that cover too, right?
Yeah, I mean, just the artwork too. So this game was cool. Definitely. I thought it would be the same as Mario 1, just like an extension of it. No, totally different. Everything was different about it. You could play all 4 characters. And you had to pick your characters. You could be like the princess. You could be Toad. You could be Luigi or Mario. Each one had their own special abilities to play with. I remember the princess, you could levitate for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Toad was strong.
Yep.
Luigi could jump really high, and Mario is just Mario. He does
average and everything.
Yeah, but you know what? He gets the job done. He gets the job done. That's what matters. But yeah, great game. And the boards were neat. There's like an ice board, a desert board. Just really cool. And the ending on this game took me forever, as usual, right? But the ending on this game was really neat. Should I say the ending? I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because it's like
spoiler alert.
It's like how many years old, right? Right. So, and in this game, it turns out like he's dreaming, right? It was just a dream. All this was a dream. So I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. But I usually these Nintendo games, they don't really have good endings. Just like, congratulations, you win. It's like, oh, thanks. I just spent 40 hours of my life playing it.
Sometimes we even spell that right. They would just be like,
yeah, it did, because it was from different countries. So this one actually had like a storyline at the end. Like I said, he was dreaming. So it was really neat. That's one thing I loved about that game. But it's funny when I say about like, so it's like 40 hours to beat a game. You could not save a game. You cannot save. Remember, you can't save Nintendo. Yeah. Nintendo, I think only Zelda. Well, maybe some games did. A few, right?
Yeah, that's
not many did.
Mega Man 1, I left it on for 3 days because I didn't want to leave it.
Right? You push the pause button, you went off to eat, or 3 days later, you come back, you're praying that it's still on, and then you're starting your game. So it's so tough. It was tough. Now, kids today could save anytime they want in a game.
Yeah.
I personally like that. Games are a lot longer, but we didn't have that luxury back in the day. So so this game, my number 5.
I really like Mario 2. It's definitely different. I mean, you could tell. I mean, we didn't know back then, but you can tell now how much different it is because it was based on other property. They just swapped it with the Mario label. It was Doki Doki Panic. You know, in Japan.
I didn't know.
Yeah, the guy had like a turban on, and like it was same basic principle of the game, but they just put the Mario polish on it.
Yeah.
Oh, such a good game. Like I tried to play it recently again, and I enjoyed it, but like I couldn't remember where all those the potions you put to get those.
Oh yeah.
To get
on top of
they
look like giant vases or something. I don't know, like pipes.
Yeah. But they had like all those bosses and stuff. It was so cool. Different bosses like that, like the mouse. What was his name?
Mouser?
Maybe it was Mouser. He was throw the bombs and stuff.
Yeah,
like
Mouser. I think.
Yeah, Birdo was in that. I think Shy Guys were there for the first time.
Birdo would shoot giant eggs at you. He'd either jump on the egg, pick it up, and throw it at them.
It's really counter-Darwinian if you think about it. You know, that's how your species goes along, and it's just shoving them at you. Here, take my progeny.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to save their kingdom. I don't know. They're trying to, it was a dream.
That was a cool game. Yeah, it really was. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that was good. Number 5.
All right, number 5 for me. I'm going deep cuts here. Absolutely loved this game. It blew me away and took forever to finish. Faxanadu.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely one of the best RPGs out there. Had every element that you could love in a game. Maybe that's just me. But great music, great sound up, great power-up system, getting new weapons, being able to defeat new enemies. The lore was super deep. The only thing that frustrated me about it was the continue system. Like, this had that where it would give you a code. And it wasn't like the Mega Man grid system where you could just plop things in, or Mike Tyson where it was a bunch of numbers. It was this string of characters that was just uber frustrating because if you did not write one of them down correctly...
Metroid's like that, too.
Yeah, that was the end of it.
Yep.
Other than that, very reminiscent in some aspects of Castlevania 2 with the town system.
I was just thinking that.
And then going out and fighting monsters, but with elves and fantasy. I mean, it's being into nerd stuff and D&D. Like, this was just an awesome game. That was one of those games that sucked me in, and when I started playing it, I was in that world for a couple days.
Yeah.
You know, like any free time that I know I had to come down and eat, all that stuff. But man, I was in that, and I wanted to get to the end of that, and those demons just kept getting harder and harder. And
Didn't you keep going up a tree or something?
You're trying to save the world tree. It's the dwarves are causing trouble, and it wasn't dwarves like we would know them. They're more like demons and stuff. But the world tree has been poisoned or tainted, and your whole job as this elf is to try to fix that, to go from town to town getting power-ups. And man, just a great fantasy realm. If you haven't played that game, it's definitely worth putting out there.
Yeah, it's a good game. I had it and I played. I beat it. Cover was interesting. It was cool. You know what I mean? It was, you'd never guess what the game was about by looking at the cover.
No. It was
basically like a shield or something.
Yeah, it was all the scrolling stuff around it. Very high art for a video game. Unlike, we'll say Mega Man again.
It's just amazing they put all this into an 8-bit cartridge.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they had to think of some ways to do that. They had some shortcuts or thing. I don't know what they did, but I mean, just to get the quality of game in an 8-bit system is unbelievable. Nowadays, I mean, they have as much information as they need.
Yeah.
But to be stuck with the 8-bit and do what they did is amazing. Good job, Nintendo.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, so my number 5 is, I know we're going to have some crossover here. I'm not sure which one you're going with, but I want Castlevania 2. Controversial pick, I know. A lot of people don't like this game. I do. I love this
that game.
There is an issue with the interpretation, how it went, and it really kind of odd clues. They really don't, you don't know the bend over with the white crystal in the one spot. Make the stairs come out.
Without Nintendo Power, you were lost in that game for a while.
There was. You really needed that, and there's a fix. It was a ROM hack that somebody did that fixed those things. Just a little bit. He made the text go a little faster when you have the curse and everything. Gotcha. And I think it was And they basically just fix some of the things where you can figure out, okay, yeah, that's a more obvious clue and what I have to do here, so otherwise I wouldn't have figured it out. Like, how do I know a whirlwind's going to come get me if I, kneel here with the blue crystal?
Yeah,
in my hand,
I didn't even have this thing, and I'm over here kneeling anyway.
Right.
I get the part of the controversy because at the time, if you take it in context, you've known Castlevania, and then this is a departure of sorts from that.
Yeah.
But if looking at it, taking it in the whole of things, and looking at how Castlevania has evolved and looking at this instance in it, I'm not going to argue with someone picking that as their favorite Castlevania. I really enjoyed it, love it, great replayability, great, some of the best songs in video game universe. In that
definitely.
Game.
Oh, the songs were amazing in that, especially when you had the curse come in. Oh, it was awesome. But like, it was just the open worldness I loved about it. That was so cool. I loved the music. I just loved the fact that there was just different. It was like the you had the towns. You had the night and day, which can be a little, but it was still good. The reason I didn't pick 3 is because Castlevania was out in '89. Okay, at that point in time, I already had a Sega Genesis. So, like, in '88, I bought a Sega Genesis, and I kind of, stopped playing the Nintendo as much. So I kind of moved on to the 16-bit system. So I never had 3, and I know 3 is great. I probably would love that too. But it's another one's on my bucket list to play the whole way through as well. But 2, and 1 was just so frustratingly hard, that it was just like, that's what just took it down to the point. I love a challenge, but once to the point where you want to, rip your hair out of your head, like when you're trying to beat a game, like, a lot of them will do that. A couple of boards of Mega Man 2 did that for me too.
Yep.
Like the Iceman level and the Gutsman level when you're trying to jump on those platforms. But but it was, it was basically just, it was just amazing to me. I loved it. I even like the stuff people didn't like about it, like the curse. And that was cool. That was a cool element.
I didn't know about that.
That's why I go. It says my favorite.
Yeah.
NES game that is. So
definitely cool.
That's my number 5.
All right.
Number 4.
So my number 4 is Rygar.
Oh, nice.
Man, when I played this game for the first time, it changed my life. Yeah. I love this game so much. I played it morning to night. You were a warrior fighting. I don't even know what it was like.
You're like a barbarian.
Barbarian.
Disc armor was called.
That disc armor.
I think the story is you were this is billions of years in the future, and they had the ability to bring back ancient warriors. So they brought you back as an ancient warrior to try and fight whatever the MacGuffin is that's in there.
I love this game. Again, the music, the boards. Awesome. You would do a side scroll. You would do a vertical. It was neat. And I love that. It made me think of God of War, actually. Again, in the future, God of War with his kind of chains coming out, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's what Rygar did. So, was it Rygar's name? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So cool. Yeah. Again, you were using grappling hooks. You were climbing up thing, going to the sky. It was so neat.
And that you wouldn't have figured out with Nintendo Power either.
No. Yeah. I never had Nintendo Power. If I did, I'd be amazing. Yeah. But really cool. What do I have here?
Rygar was my kid has a YouTube channel. He does Ryan. That's his name, Rygar, on there.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe there as well.
Yeah. Right.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I was just saying, it's like a precursor to other things. So games probably looked at that and used it. But now that was an arcade game too, right? But I think I like this NES game better than the arcade.
Another example of another one where it's so much better than its counterpart.
Yeah, definitely better.
Definitely. There's a thing too with did you ever play the PS2 version of Rygar? Did you ever play that one?
I don't think that I did.
It was good. It was pretty good. I didn't beat it all the way through. I remember as soon as you turned on, there's like a Britney Spears lookalike that's your girlfriend that gets kidnapped. Seriously, check it out.
Of course, why not?
Yeah. But it was actually a pretty good game. It was, like God of War style, but, he had like spiky white hair or something like that. But it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Definitely a pickup, Rygar.
Yeah.
All right, number 4 for me. And people who know me know that I absolutely love this game. I'm not sure it would make anyone else's top 10 list, but Blaster Master, absolutely love this game. Very into the man and machine There was a cartoon out at the time called Jason the Wheeled Warriors. Kid gets this super vehicle and fights these biomutant things, and that, like, for me, was the best. And now here's this video game. Now, this is where I told these guys ahead of time, I'm going to be reading something, and as doing my research, first of all, why I love this game, brilliant level design.
Yeah.
It's another crossover game where you're doing platforming sometimes, vehicular combat, trying to get power-ups and get deeper in. And the soundtrack is not the best, but one of. The front end of it is much better. It gets a little convoluted later on, but still some of those things that stick in your head, just absolutely love it. So for me, after doing this research, I am going to dub Blaster Master the Voltron of video games.
What do you mean by that?
Because of the absolute horrid transition from the original material to what we got here in
like
the U.S.
The story was like you're after your pet.
Well, let's read the original story first. Okay, I'm going to read this for you. The game takes place on planet Sophia III, located near the center of the Epsilon Galaxy, in which an advanced civilization flourished. In the year 2052 of the space-age calendar, the Inverm Dark Star Army, led by the universe's most feared tyrant, Goez, invade and conquer Sophia III. The Science Academy of Nora, a satellite orbiting near Sophia III that somehow managed to avoid invasion, built a weapon, an all-purpose tank called Metal Attacker. In a last-ditch effort to defeat Goez's army, a young soldier named Kane Gardner is chosen as the pilot of this weapon. The game's opening sequence shows Metal Attacker dropped onto the battlefield. Now, our version is Jason lost a frog that got stuck in some radioactive goo, and you find and immediately know how to pilot a super weapon that was somehow buried in the earth and go to try to save your frog.
Sounds about
and
right.
end up killing him as the final boss.
Oh my!
That's the version that we got.
Yeah, why'd you have to kill him? That's terrible.
I think he turns back into his unmutated self at the end or something.
Maybe it's like Old Yeller the game instead of Voltron.
I like this to me, like the original version is so BA. This is like so amazing. And they give us this kid's pet frog got gooped.
That's bad.
Yeah, why would they do that?
I did love that game. That's one like I love when you hit select and you get out of the vehicle and you're so tiny.
Yeah.
You're moving around the thing and you're so delicate. Someone hit you.
Do not make that mistake. And like you can't fall more than an inch.
Yeah.
You're this little thing, but you get inside, and if you got the frustrating part about it, which made you get good at the game, was you get power-ups and your weapon can get to level 7, I think, but every time you get hit, your weapon goes down a level, so you've got to find another power-up. But if you could stay at that level 7, you're shooting this wave of destruction that can kill anything. So it was trying to get to that boss of each stage while still holding your main power.
Yeah.
So just great game, great music, great level design, good looking game, especially for the time, and a much better story when you put it into perspective.
Yeah. And then like when you're tiny, then you go into the caves and then you pop out in the first person, not first person, but
it's top down
perspective, and you're like this big and chunky.
With this huge head, this huge helmet.
Yeah. It's cool.
So there's a couple of follow-ups that came out later. I've had them on PlayStation called Blaster Master Zero, which kind of give you a much better story and much more close to the original.
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's actually a Wii reimagining as well.
There was I forget what the title was. I had it. I actually had a PlayStation 1 version.
Yeah. There's a 3DS one too. It just came out, or not just, but 3DS. Yeah.
Great game. That's my number 4.
Okay, I like that.
So my number 4, Super Mario Brothers. Which one do you think I picked? Which one?
For what? Number 4.
Number 4. So you've already checked off 2, right?
That's Vito, Peter.
I gotta go with 2 then for you.
All right. So again, this comes down to this came out in 1990.
Oh, so it's not 2.
It's not 3. 3 is one of the greatest NES games. Everybody says, but I didn't have that experience with it because I already had the Genesis at this point in time, so I didn't go back to the NES in 1990. So I had a Genesis for 2 years now. As a matter of fact, I don't remember the year the Super Nintendo came out, but I had to go and get that too. I also had the Turbo Graphics at this time too, so it was like I didn't really go back.
That's one of the only systems I'd never bought was the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it's so
And I heard it's the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Of course.
So I mean, so like 2 was good. 2 was good. And I liked it, but it was different, and I still liked it. But I just remember the first time I played the first Super Mario Brothers. Man, that blew me away. I had an Atari at this time, and I really didn't have any plans to get Nintendo. I went down to my friend's house, and we played that. I'm like, whoa, this just keeps going. Like, for a side scroll, I remember really ever seeing like that where I can just, it was more than just what the original Mario Brothers was, just,
Right.
stomping on,
just jump on things.
Yeah, jumping up and down, you and Luigi, killing crabs. And
You jump on the 2-bit Goombas.
yeah, the 2-bit Goombas. And so I'm stomping on 2-bit Goombas. I'm finding extra lives. I'm finding vines. I'm finding these cool power-ups. Warp
Secrets.
zones, secrets everywhere. I mean, like, this was so
There's
cool.
over 100 secrets in that game.
Oh, man, like, there's
So
nothing
pretty
like
neat.
it. Like, it was amazing. I was, like, drawn right in that world. That was, like, the coolest game. Again, is 3 better? Probably. You know what I mean? But I really would have to go with, just for memory's sake, man, nothing like that first Mario game. I still, to this day, anyone can pick that up and just play that and love
Yep.
it. Great game.
I do. I have like a Game & Watch when they came out with a couple years ago. So I'll just pick it up out of my drawer and start playing, and it's the exact game. And they did a really good job with that Game & Watch. It's expensive. It's like $50
yeah.
though. But like
Back
the
in the
controller is
1980s.
real good.
Yeah.
No, the newer one they just came out
really?
with. It's a newer one they came out with a couple years ago. It was like the 35th anniversary or something like that. So yeah, they had that great D-pad on it, great buttons on it. But yeah, you just pick it up and play. And they actually have that, and they have like a Japanese version on there, I think, which is pretty neat. I never played the Japanese version, so I didn't know what I was doing, but it was fun.
Yeah.
They actually have the mushrooms. You know how you get the mushroom and you power up?
Yeah.
They have the green mushrooms, which is life. They have like a dark green one, which is death.
Yeah.
So if you get it, you die.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to watch what you get.
That's
so
dark.
That's the Japanese
Yeah,
one.
man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's neat.
What was that in the? That was in like the Lost levels, the one
The
that was
Lost level.
originally
Yes.
Mario 2 that we got the Doki Doki Panic, but
That's it.
yeah, I saw that. It was harder. They didn't think we can take it as Americans. They thought that we were weak, so they gave us.
Now we can't.
Yeah, right.
So for anyone keeping score right now, Super Mario 1, 2, and 3 on the list for our picks there.
Well, how about those like in
Get
Mario,
it, Mario.
the water levels?
Yeah.
Like those things were just they're my least favorite part, but I would not want them without them. You know what I mean? Like they're
Right.
just
Yeah.
fun.
And the change of the music,
Yeah.
like how it was
Yeah.
a totally different theme. And
Yeah. Only thing I would do different with that is I would change the Bowser's. Even if you just did a palette swap per each level, like
Right.
1,
Right.
2,
Is that what,
right.
I always thought
even
that's
just
the
do a
same.
palette swap or something of the colors, and then I think that'd be good. And Toad, change the color of his whatever, whatever.
I liked Super Mario Brothers Level 3. It's at the end when you're going up to the flag to jump, and you have like a turtle coming
Oh, yeah.
down.
Oh, here
Yeah.
comes
So
the
you could-
cheat.
It's
It's level. No, it's level
I paid
5.
75 cents for that
It's
one
3
too.
dash. 3-1.
Yeah.
I know exactly where it
3-1.
is. The 100
Yeah.
lives, and you had to be careful not to get too greedy.
Exactly.
Or your system glitched.
That's
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you take your
Yeah.
lives away. You die or
Yep, you
something.
die
negative
instantly.
lives.
Next
Yeah.
one's the odd
See,
one.
and that's what it taught us. Lessons, right? Don't get too greedy in life.
Mhm.
Don't
Yep.
do too much.
But greedy enough to go for 110 plus lives.
Right.
But just
Get
not
what
too
you
greedy.
need, but don't. But
Yeah.
the thing is, you got to count. You know how many lives you can count them.
Yeah.
Because every time it would ding,
They
it's
give
a
you
new life.
symbols instead. You don't
Yeah,
know.
after
You
you
get
got
some- I
past
have no clue
99,
what
it
the
was like
symbols meant, so.
N1 mushroom.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they just use numbers, but they
Yeah.
did. So pretty cool. That was neat. Good pick.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's my
right.
number 4.
Number 3.
So that brings us to the top 3.
Top 3.
This is the gold standard, the top 3 games that each of us believe are the best on the NES.
Yeah, and there's a lot of games to pick from. A lot of great games.
Yep.
More so than anyone, I would probably have to say that now without going through and doing a top 10 for everything. I think NES is probably going to have more top 10s. Like, no more games that I would rank so high than any other system, I'd probably say.
Right. If you're doing an overall, and maybe this is something we do at some time, greatest games of all time, and you had a top 25, I think my feeling is that the NES would probably have the highest percentage of games
Yeah,
in
I
there.
don't dispute that. Yeah, so
Now we have to remember, though, the
Yeah.
top 3, why each one of us is doing what we're doing. So, so my criteria.
you're already
again,
apologizing for this choice, aren't you?
I am.
I'm just waiting to see the cheat code he got with it.
Remember,
Yeah.
but my criteria is the games I played that I bought, right, as a child. So these are the games I had as a child that I loved. Has
Okay.
nostalgic reasons.
Go for it.
So, number 3, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay. All right.
Got to go with that. We already talked about it, though. But this game was really cool because before the game even came out, there was a movie called, I think it was The Wizard.
Oh, yeah.
And it had...
Yeah,
who was
it
the
was.
kid from the
Fred-
Wonder
Fred
Years?
Savage was
Fred
in it, yeah.
Savage
Fred
was in it.
Savage.
Yeah.
So it was like about him and his brother, and they went to the Nintendo Championships.
Yeah.
His brother was like this. The
Yeah.
brother was the wizard, right? It was
Yeah,
like this
yeah.
awesome kid, you know. But the cool thing in the movie was they were playing Super Mario Brothers 3, which was coming out. And they knew it, and they had they taught you like where a flute was, which was like a warp zone to help you warp. So that was like a big deal. You wanted this game so bad. Again, getting the game, just like you all said, almost a perfect game. Like I love the side games. You had your side hustle, you know. You got all the cool. I love the cool. I don't know what is it, like raccoon suit, different suits that Mario would become. Which is, I think, in the Mario movie, he does become.
Takumi. It's Takumi
Right.
suit.
Yeah, he becomes that or something.
Or Tanuki, or Tanuki. Was it
Tanuki, yeah.
Yeah, like I love all that. It was so much fun. I had so much fun playing it. So Mario 3, my number 3.
Yeah. Yeah, good call.
No argument. No argument. Definitely deserves to be on the list. Just
Oh,
Not
you say
there.
is
just
what it
not
is. I
there.
know.
Just not there.
That's where you put it. I'm
where I put
totally
it.
okay with it. I put it worse than you, so I can't argue with people who put it in their top spot. If that's your perfect game, if you're using objective criteria and not personal criteria, and people have it at top, I wouldn't, but I'm okay with that.
All right.
All right, for me, number 3, and this is, I did the same thing there are series that if I put every entry in the series, there's not going to be there's going to be 3 series on this list.
You're going number 2, aren't you?
I am going with number 2, Mega Man 2. From the standpoint of Mega Man 1 was a great game,
Yeah.
and I agree with you. Like that was brutal. There was unforgiving. A great introduction to it. Mega Man 2 did everything that Mega Man 1 did, one step better. It just did. And the soundtrack. The soundtrack is probably the top one. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it's the best of all time, but it's top 3 soundtracks in video games of all time. Just every track, straight through, every level is fantastic. Yeah. The level design, the characters, introducing a few new gimmicks, just front to back, Mega Man 2, best in the series. I went through all the NES ones. They get wacky. 3 was great. A lot of people point to 3 being better. I loved 3, just a step back than 2. Just a step back than 2.
2 is better than 3.
So you're saying they're consistent. Mega Mans are pretty consistent.
1,
2, and 3.
There's some of them I didn't like. Some of the...
It got a little wacky in there.
Yeah.
It really did. And it's not that they're bad games, but when you follow something like Mega Man 2,
Yeah.
and Mega Man 3 was a good game, and the music was good, but when you follow that, you better bring your A game, and it's tough to do that. It's tough to do that consistently, game after game after game, every couple of years. You can't do that to a dev team because they've already put all of their cards on the table when you've made a masterpiece like that. So for me, out of all the Mega Mans, 2 was the best. It's my number 3 spot.
Do you think it's your favorite Mega Man game of all time?
I'm going to say it is.
Really?
Yep.
Even more than X?
I loved X, and X was different and was
I heard
better.
that
There
was
was
the
some
best.
awesome things in X. Finding the pieces and doing the Hadouken.
Yeah.
I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Mega Man X was great. It was good for what it is, but 2, and this is the thing for me. When all other factors are considered in there, that soundtrack straight through. You can pick any level. Or just do yourself a favor and go straight to Dr. Wily's Castle, first stage Dr. Wily's Castle, one of the top video game songs ever made. Period. End of story.
Oh,
Yeah, cool.
I like it.
All right. So, my number 3, we've already talked about a difficult yet rewarding game. Pattern recognition,
Yes.
surprising
is-
depth.
Okay.
What is it? Yes, Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Punch Out? Yeah. Mike
Again,
Tyson's Punch Out.
something that's just on my list of all times. I just need to beat this game. I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit down and buckle
I
down
beat
and
the
just
game,
try
I'm saying
it.
that.
I can play it all the way through. I can, beat everybody up to that point. I'm surprised how quickly it all came back to me when I go to play it again after many years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But some of the games, don't. Like Mario 2, for example. Like I said, I don't remember any of those things where I used to know all that stuff. Like where all the, where you drop that potion, then you
Yep.
jump to the, the
You go to a
dark
different world, yeah.
and then you pick up the mushroom, and then you add your health. You know what I mean? But yeah, this I can remember them to this day. And there's nothing better than punching on Don Flamenco. Like I love
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. As if he deserved it.
Boom.
Just because he had a rose in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
The
And
guy,
you just didn't like that.
Yeah, he was asking for it.
he honestly was. Like, if they ever conveyed,
Oh, he
they
did
found a
He
way
did egg you on, though.
to
He did egg
convey
you on.
someone who was asking for a beaten to the face. It's Don Flamenco.
That's true. He did
Hands
do
down.
that. I do remember.
Yeah.
He'd like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, he did. He's like, map, map, map. You need
You're like, hit me in the face.
Yeah.
Like, you're the second guy to taunt like you're Mike Tyson. Like, you're calling people out like that. He totally disrespected the player, and he had it coming.
That's hubris.
He had it
Man,
coming.
that guy had
That's
it.
right.
That guy
he had
had
it
it.
coming.
Come on.
Hubris. Yeah. Oh man, so great. Just love that. And Punch Out, like all these different characters, all the different personalities between them, the different ways to fight them. Oh, we're just so cool. I mean, you ever played Punch Out in the arcade? Fun game, great game, but this was just another example of a game that was just so much better.
But that game was cool, wasn't it? The Punch Out in the arcade. Didn't it have like 2 screens?
It did. Yeah, there was the
Like on
screen where you
top.
fought on, and then there was like a screen where it's all like basically statistics and stuff, like your health going down, and then like a silhouette of a fighter.
Like you could actually look at the statistics and at the screen at the same
Yeah.
time. But I guess you would have like a corner man telling you.
Yeah, but they were so big. Like the guys you're fighting, like were so
Yeah.
huge. It was the coolest.
Wait,
thing.
didn't you have something like? Didn't you have to grab onto something like that?
No.
What was that?
There was
Handles?
like
You had
Title
handles like
Fight or
that.
something. There was a Neo Geo
Oh,
game or
okay.
something. Wasn't it where you actually had handles? No, maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
I'm talking arcade now, like
Yes.
a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, I know.
and
I remember
things
it.
like that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't it, but that
No.
but that did have the 2 screens
Yeah,
on it,
and it
which
had
was
like,
cool.
and I remember the song, the da-na-na, the song.
Yeah.
They brought that to the NES as well. But that it was playing the
The
arcade.
training montage, training
so
montage,
good.
that was cool.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that.
Nothing beat getting some rubs from Doc.
I know. He was like, "Hey, Mac." He was like,
Somehow I feel
The
better.
chocolate
Like I want to
bar,
get out
yeah.
there and punch
Here,
someone right now.
Oh, another
chocolate
thing
bar, yeah.
Nintendo did with that. So just like in Mario Brothers, if you got too many lives, you would die or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
the lives were. But in Mike Tyson's Punch Out,
Yeah.
you could hit select, I think,
Yep.
and then what's the trainer's name?
Doc Lewis.
So Doc Lewis would be like giving you advice, and you hit select, and then his hand would go like faster,
Yeah.
which would give you more power. So when the next round started, your power
You get
would
some
go
health
up.
back, yeah.
But if you did it during Tyson, your power would go down.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because if you did it when you were not injured enough, it would start taking away. It would like go up and then down. Like if
Yeah.
you were fully healed, it would take health away
Yeah,
from you.
so you have to see.
Yeah.
That's what Nintendo did.
Right. Punish
Giveth
you.
and taketh away.
Right. True. Yeah. So
I agree
that's-
with that one.
Yep, that's
I
my
agree,
my
yeah.
number 3 pick.
I love it.
I think it's the best sports game for the NES,
Yeah.
beating out even Tecmo Super Bowl. Super
Wow.
Bowl. Mhm.
Okay.
That's it. That's my
like that.
number 3.
Number 2. Whoa.
All right. So my number 2 is Ninja Gaiden. Gaiden? How do you even
Gaiden.
say it?
I always said Ninja Gaiden, but I know it's
Ninja
not
Gaiden.
right.
I think I say Gaiden.
Gaiden,
too.
I believe it's pronounced.
Yeah, I say Ninja Gaiden. Whatever it is.
I do now.
Great game. One of my all-time favorite games. This game, we would go to I don't know how old you are watching this, but the rental store You go to like a VHS rental store, and they would have Nintendo games you could rent. So
This is VHS you talk of.
I know. What is that?
What is this device?
What is this?
This.
So I go there, I see this game, and I'm automatically like in love with it. You know, I see it, so take it home, start playing it. Oh my goodness, the coolest game ever. You're a ninja, you're throwing all these stars, you're sticking the walls like Spider-Man, you're flinging left to right, and then you get to the end of like a board, and now you have a cutscene. I never saw anything like that before. These cutscenes were like cinematic cutscenes. Yeah. It was the coolest. It told a story all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, most games like Mario, you know, you're playing, you have to read about the story on a box, but this one actually told you the story right through. It was one of the coolest games I ever played.
Yeah.
I don't know how you two feel about that.
Oh, great game.
I love it.
I remember playing that one, beating it all the way through, and I played 2, beat it all the way through. Never had 3, but oh man, they were hard.
They were very hard.
Very hard. But again, you kept going back for it. The replay value, very high on that also. But even though like maybe I didn't beat the game, maybe I didn't, you know, you just kept going back and to play and play and play.
A little spoiler alert, that was my number 11. That hurt me so bad.
It's in my honorable mentions too.
Man.
It hurt
It's
so
tough.
bad.
That's what you guys are.
I know.
That
It
game
really
is
did.
Great.
I mean, what's with us? You have a friggin' bank full of hoops, footy balls, and sporting things.
Yeah, like a foosball simulator. It's your number 1.
Remember the criteria. Remember the criteria.
What's wrong
This is
with
my
us?
criteria.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm with you. I love the game. Everyone wanted to be a ninja. You saw that, and like, man, I wanted a katana so bad when I saw it. Those cutscenes were like, it was a movie without the cheese.
It was.
You know, like it was. True. It was awesome.
I still remember that first opening scene where he was like and then like you see behind him the guy fall behind him. Oh, it was so awesome.
Oh, then they show the scene with his eyes like get wide, and I mean it was cool. It was cool.
Great game, brutal difficulty.
Hurt so bad to cut that one. Really did.
All right, that's mine. Number 2.
All right, number 2. Very difficult to pick my favorite in this series, but I'm gonna do what you did with Mega Man, and I'm going to pick the original Castlevania. Loved 2. Later in life, I played 3. Great game also, but the original and just what it did, I agree, brutal difficulty, but the atmosphere that was set from that initial scene, you're walking up in that castle, that music, and you just felt like you stepped into a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like you really did. All the classic monsters were there. And just trying to get through this castle. Fantastic soundtrack, straight through again, all the way through. Amazing game. Set the pace for everything. Not my favorite Castlevania game, but we're talking NES. And the pinnacle of the series for me, Castlevania 1. And that's not to take anything away from 2 or 3. It really doesn't. They're both fantastic games. Yeah. But if I have to pick one and it's going on my list, it's going to the number 2 spot, Castlevania.
Yeah. First time I ever played that game was at your house.
Really?
Yep. I think it was your birthdays, whatever. You and Chip were up there. I don't know. Your brother. I don't know. We were. Yeah, it was the first time I played. Was up there. I had to go out and get it.
Yeah, just a great game, great atmosphere. You know, you're really. It stuck with you. You know, like it was scary. Some of those things. It gives you a little those. You think you're getting through these platform levels, and then all of a sudden this thing flies out of nowhere. And most games had patterns that were easy to recognize. You can get through. You make it through the Medusa heads. And then all of a sudden, these friggin' flea men. They would not form a standard pattern. It's like, do something normal so I can hit you with a whip.
Who do you hate more, the flea men or Medusa heads?
I'm going to say the flea men. The Medusa heads, because they force you into the thing, but they they have a very simple pattern. You knew when you went back and you came onto the screen, that triggered that thing. Once that flea man was on the screen, all bets are off.
Then wasn't there like a couple secret things in there, like a trophy or something that I one of the scenes with the.
Yeah, there was a lot of wall meat.
Wall meat. Yeah, but this one was like. No one ever got it. I don't know. I remember playing it one time and I found it.
Really?
It was like a glowing.
Oh yeah, it's like there's like a crown,
like a chalice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a random power up that drops and it wipes everything off the screen.
Yeah,
that,
that was
but I think,
No, that makes
No,
you
that's not
invincible. The jar makes you
Yeah.
invincible.
But I think like when you clear the first board, I think you go and you start to go up the stairs. It's something there. I think it's just worth points. I think there's
There's the double thing that's in the stairs. There's a
Yes,
wall
I think
meet,
that
and then
too.
there's
Yeah,
the thing that doubles
the
your
2,
throw
and then
weapon.
there's the 3,
Yeah,
yeah.
the throw. You
Yeah.
get the 3 on level 2 if you've been collecting and didn't die. But yeah, there's enough depth in there that they really built on with the rest of the series. To your point with the criticisms on 2, where the difficulty was not in finding those things, and that they were just so obscure. You know, like it wasn't I can dig here and find something. It's you have to have a specific item and go to a specific point. And if you're paying attention to the clues were a little obscure too. I think they lost something in translation that the people in the town were trying to give you. But, you know, after you get it, it makes sense. Like, oh, that's what they meant. You know, you could have just told me that.
right. Yeah, yeah. A lot of stuff through there they didn't hold your hand for. You really had to figure it out. Especially
Yeah.
some of those things where you had to break blocks with the holy water and stuff that you never know.
Yeah.
If you didn't try it out.
Yep.
You know, but
That's what's great about these Nintendo games. You could just pick it up and start playing. Okay, most kids, you know, we don't read directions. You just whatever. But nowadays with these games, I remember I had to get. So when I bought, let's say the PlayStation 2 game, PlayStation 3 games, I'd buy the game, then I would buy the big gigantic this thick of a book, but basically the playthrough of the game, because I can never get through the game without it. So I mean, like you had to read up so much just to play. But Nintendo, you just pick it up and start playing. You know, and then you may pause it and then look through the directions and see what something is. But again, the directions manuals were very thin, easy to read, had pictures, very simple. So it was just a simpler time also, which makes it so much fun. That's why we were doing it today. That's why we have memories of
right.
this.
Yeah.
So love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Which
my
you
number
were
2
too.
is really neither one of you guys are going to have this on your list, but I think this is one of my favorite games of all time. Of any system, and I've had just about all of them. You know what I mean? This is one of my favorite games ever made. Bionic Commando.
Yeah, well, I
No
played it.
jump, no problem. You know, once you got this mechanic down, like, oh man, you were just an ace with it. I love this. You just graft onto things, you grapple onto things, and you're swinging to get these. Oh, it was just so and there was definitely a learning curve with it. So it wasn't the easiest game, especially when you get up in higher levels where you really had to grab something, fall, grab another thing. It got a little.
So
got
what
tough.
are you in this game? What are you?
You
What
are
playing as.
Did you ever play Commando for the
Play
arcade?
Commando, yes.
Well, I guess it's the sequel to this. There was another one.
Oh, okay.
This was another arcade game whose NES game is far superior than the arcade, original.
Wow.
Oh, such a great game. So there's different styles of play. So like Commando, there was a section where this is how you got your continues. You would go, up the board and get to the end, and you'd have to basically blast through it, whatever, and kill the guys. And if you didn't, you got really far. But if you didn't get continues from this stage, that you only get to play when you cross on the map, a helicopter is coming your way. Then it'll be like, then you have to go and land, and then you do this, and you have to beat the the Jeep in one of them. Depends on which area on the map you go over, whether it's the sand, the jungle, whatever the case is. And there's different. Oh man! So there's that part, and then there's the hacking element where you can get into you have to open doors. You have to find up the communications station and break
I think
into
I did play
it.
this game. I think
my
I did
goodness.
play. It sounds familiar.
Oh, it was so great. They did a remake for it for the PS3, and it was so great.
Was it? Okay.
But it was easier. You can play the more difficult level, but I remember being a lot easier than the NES version. But the thing that really stood out about this game is, like you said with Ninja Gaiden, the story. This game had a story to it. You were just so drawn into this game. I love this game. They had weapons that that you can you get to customize whatever you took on whatever mission.
Yeah.
And had bosses in the end. Now this is another one where the like you said with the Voltron with the Blaster Master how got murdered, right? So this was originally in the Japanese when it was Nazis and it was Hitler you're fighting at the end. Well, this one they just changed his name to I don't know, Admiral Mean Guy or whatever his name. I have no idea. Something else I forget. But,
Commissar.
It's
I'm so
something
scared.
it's something so
Admiral
cheesy
Mean
like
Guy.
that.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, and you see this guy's it got violent. You know what I mean? You see this guy's head exploding in this in an animated
Nintendo
sequence on Nintendo.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness, I didn't know
my goodness,
that.
it was wow. You're like, whoa, like, and then you have to escape, and get out of there. Oh man, this game just gave me memories and stuff.
That's cool.
I remember one of my friends was had problems with it. He's like, he ended up calling me up, and I'm like, hey, how do I get past this? I'm like, oh yeah, just go over here. I'm like, there's one of them kind of like those where you have to go the right way, or you don't get through the board. You have to. Like in Mario, remember you have to pick the right paths to get further,
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like one of those. Oh, man. I love that game. I could take that right now. The music was amazing. Oh, nothing like it.
I'm going to have to play it now.
Oh, so good.
To remember it.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that weird remake for PS3 where they gave it a story and they turned it into a different game. And there was, I'm not going to spoil it, but there was an awesome twist at the end.
Awesome, huh?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a great twist on how giving depth to the character rather than this guy with a tool. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, I thought it was really bizarre.
It was absolutely bizarre.
Yeah,
but that's sometimes it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't love that as much as I did. I did actually have to get the when I did play it, I had to play as the NES skin.
Yeah,
you know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And for the Reloaded that I have for the PS3, they came out with another one, which was like not... basically, it's an original game, but they put a jump in it. It was poo. Yeah. So, yeah.
Stop messing with the classics.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so... Anyway, Bionic Commando, my number 2. Great stuff. Try it if you never did. Awesome game.
Honorable mentions.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Well, I know. But now we're going to talk about some honorable mentions.
Okay.
Okay. So, honorable mentions. What do you got for honorable mentions?
What about a 1?
Huh?
We're going to do the honorable mentions first.
We're going to do the honorable mentions before we cut.
Nobody wants to listen after you tell your number 1.
Right.
Well, all right, then, I guess.
Good.
Honorable mention. Should I say all my honorable mentions?
Say what you want to say.
Should.
Yeah.
So I have 3 of them. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, RC Pro-Am, and Excite Bike.
Yes.
So those are my 3 honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Again,
RC Pro-Am's also on my list.
Is it? See, there you go. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, hardest, I think, Nintendo game ever. I can never beat. I don't think anyone could beat that game.
I loved it.
It is so difficult. What was that?
Battletoads. Yeah.
Battletoads was cool.
Yeah, that was hard.
That's a fun game. See, that's a game with attitude, right? They had attitude. That Battletoads.
Attitude, yeah.
The Tude.
Yeah, like there was like that water level. That was like when you had to go through all that and defuse those bombs. Like you had to swim through all that seaweed and it was
don't get me wrong. That's disgusting.
I hate that.
Yeah.
So hard.
But it was a great game. I really did like it. It just was way too hard. It was way too cheap.
Too hard.
Yeah.
But fun. I played.
Yeah. What you got?
All right, honorable mentions. I have a ton. I had so many that came so close on here. Life Force. I know you might be more of a Gradius fan. I think Life Force was the better polished and being able to play 2 at the same time. Rygar was on there.
Yeah, there you go.
Punch Out's on there. RC Pro-Am. Solomon's Key really came close to making this list for me. I love Solomon's Key. I love a good puzzle game, having to figure things out. They added new mechanics each level, different enemies. Great game, good music. Ninja Gaiden's on here. Legendary Wings, just for the whole aspect of that. Love that one. Bionic Commando, Skate or Die, Tetris, none of us said yet DuckTales. DuckTales is one that came close to making the list.
I wanted to put DuckTales on my list. That is such a great game.
It is.
And I should have put it as honorable mention because I kept thinking about it on my list, but then when I made the list for honorable mention, I forgot about it. But yes, that was a great game. Scrooge McDuck, and it was just like the cartoon.
Yeah.
So
Another
cool.
One, great soundtrack.
Didn't that come out later too, though? DuckTales. I think that's
Did it?
one of the reasons why I didn't really get it.
What
I don't
happened?
know. I think that came out later as well.
Later, yeah. It was a later game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so my list here, again, Ninja Gaiden, top list. I hate leaving that. And Rygar as well.
Yeah.
Other great game. Tecmo Super Bowl, Blaster Master, Life Force, Gunsmoke. You ever play Gunsmoke? Oh, my, I love that game. A couple other ones here. You mentioned this as well, like Solomon's Key. That would probably be my pick for best puzzle game. Yes, I like Tetris, but I think that my love of that one was from the Game Boy. I think I had that love for it.
Right.
I think I said RC Pro-Am, right? Strider, another example of a totally different game than the arcade. Is it better? Different. Both great games. RC Pro-Am, Solomon's Key, Strider. Jackal. I love Jackal. It's a fun game. The first Metal Gear, another one. You need Nintendo Power for it, but yeah, that was another. Final Fantasy 1. And then I also give a shout out to Karnov and Kid Mickey.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All good games. All good games.
I see you like shooting things.
No, I
Who does not?
I don't mind.
I see that. He likes war and things. True.
Yeah.
Hey, don't shoot me.
And number 1.
Can we do our number 1?
All right, let's do our
Man, I want to do the
number
number one.
one.
So,
Yes.
I think we should all say it at the same time.
It's not going to be the same.
I don't know if he's going to have the same one.
I'm not going
You
to
and
the
I
same
will.
one.
All right, then that's fine.
I'm not.
You go ahead and,
What'd you
you
go?
go ahead and say you're incorrect.
I know he's going to say it's Bocce Wars 1986. It's like the Bocce Ball.
Listen.
It's like Bocce 2, the Cannoli Commando.
Here's the thing. I had to own the game for me to put it on here. Okay? And that's what I did. So, and I'm sure your number 1,
Cricket.
I did not own your number 1s.
So
I was
sorry.
probably one of the only
So
children
sorry
that
for
own
your
their
child.
number 1
Oh, man.
games.
Yeah. You would have been a better person if you were raised with that.
But my number 1, again, nostalgic reasons. It's 1987. You know, I'm in my friend's house. He was one of those kids that got everything. He had like every Transformer, and then he would use my Transformers and break them. But he had that, and then he had like all the Nintendo games as Nintendo went on. But I went over to his house one day. You know, I had dinner at his house. After dinner, his dad is like, "Oh, let's go play the Nintendo." I'm like, "What is it?"
The Nintendo.
What's a Nintendo? So they take it out. We go into the living room, and that's when the TVs were like furniture. And you're sitting on the floor, and the TV's sitting on the floor. And they put this controller in my hand, and I'm playing Super Mario Brothers. And I'm like, holy cow, this is the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah.
Again, life-changing. I've never seen anything in my life like it at that time. It was, I couldn't believe it. It was an arcade in a house. I'm playing this game, and it was so much fun. So, and it wasn't until like probably a half a year to a year later I got my own Nintendo. But it was just the greatest game ever for me personally because of that.
I can't fault you for it. I really can't.
Yeah.
We all have different things for different reasons, and it is a great game.
Yeah.
It's just.
Not your.
So I'm not even gonna make fun of you. If you picked something stupid, I would have absolutely blasted you. But I can't.
Yeah, true. It's true. So, all right, let's see what yours number 1s are.
All right.
So we're probably gonna have the same one, and there wasn't an option. I started from the top down, and there's just no way to not say that the original Legend of Zelda is the greatest NES game of all time. It's not a question.
I agree.
There are other lists out there, and they take into account some objective criteria, and those other lists are absolutely 100% wrong. And the thing for me with this, and goes back to, all right, yes, the music aspect is there. One of the greatest scores of all time. To this day is still influencing games in terms of new Zelda games come out. That theme, that hint of that song is still in there. Is still absolutely perfect.
Just trigger something. In
It's that splash screen when they turn on that
Waterfall.
that
Waterfall
magic.
in the background, yeah.
But the personal magic for me in this was one summer where my parents were having to teach me responsibility, which I absolutely hated. But they're like, do some of these things and we'll take you and buy a game. And I think I painted the deck, which was like, it was probably 100 degrees or something that summer. And I was out there and I did that. And my mom took me to this department store that we have here, and it sold video games. And keep in mind, we didn't have Walmart and GameStop and all these things back then. We had KB. If you're lucky, you lived near a KB or a Toys R Us, and there was this department store. And she brought me, and I'm looking like, what game do I want? And there is this piece of gold sitting there.
Right here.
There's gray plastic, gray plastic, gray plastic, gray plastic.
Yeah, the golden game.
Gold.
The golden game.
And that to me, I got that, and then I put that thing in, and again, like I said with Faxanadu, I was gone. I was in a different world. This was it. And not holding your hand. Everyone who's ever played this game has burned every single tree in Hyrule, looking for a staircase or looking for a secret, has bombed every single rock and cliff face that there is.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely amazing, perfect game, still to this day for me, even as a replay, and some people say it doesn't hold up. Those people are wrong. It's a 10 out of 10. End of story, best NES game.
Yeah. That's one game that I would give higher than a 10 out of 10 if I could possibly do it, because I think it's just, because not only did, again, okay, my pick is also The Legend of Zelda. So what he just said, I mean, it's basically the exploration. They didn't hold your hand. Like, it just, the immersion, the music, there was the overworld, there was the dungeons, there was the, you had to figure out on your own. If you didn't get that, the sword from the very beginning, guess what? You're out of luck.
You're not getting very far.
It's true. It just truly left a mark in my life. Like, this game, it just like, it made me like love games. I think this is the one.
Right.
They really just drew me in. Like, and not only did they give you the perfect game, but this is why I'd say if there was higher than a 10, this would be it, because you got a whole another quest. You didn't have to do that. You gave enough. Like, and you came, just amazing. And I remember not even wanting it, because they had a stupid commercial for it where they had this guy. I think, this guy was on like, I think he was on a First and 10 on HBO. He was like a kicker on there or something. He was like a comedy actor. I don't remember the guy's name.
And he did the commercial for it?
Yeah, he did this commercial where it's a weird commercial, and he's basically just saying the names of the
yes.
of the, like, Octoroks, Peanuts.
Robe.
Yeah, and he's like,
I've never seen that.
And he's like, pretending to attack him. There's a dumbest one. I was like, this looks like the dumbest game ever. But then I was down at, it was James Way, which I don't know, like, they had it there to play. I'm like, wow. This game's cool, I got it, and like you said, that summer, I was just like, I couldn't wait to get back and play it again. Like, I wanted to get further. I wanted to, and the exploration of it all, like, you had to find stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking, look at this place. What's this? It's a green or a blue ring or whatever the case is. Like, what does that do? And like, it's expensive.
I need to go farm rupees now.
Yeah.
That thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
I know it's going to do something amazing. I'm going to kill a ton of things
Yeah.
until I get every rupee.
Right,
I
had
can.
magic in it, right?
Now, did have like a port where, like, where the enemy bait and stuff, you got to use on the thing where it's like grumble, which was cool. But there's a couple things that like were lost in translation clues to what things would be like there's the peninsula, whatever the case is. But other than, you figured it out. It wasn't anywhere near where it hampered your, made the game any less for it. It was just, so amazing. That's another one I could just put in and play, once a year.
Yeah, once a year, go through that game. Definitely worth it.
Well, I guess I'll give it to them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, seriously. Not only is it my favorite NES game, but it's probably my favorite game that was ever made. It really is.
And you could save on it.
Yeah.
Right, and that was another
cool.
great feature.
Yeah.
Even without that, though, I don't think it would have mattered. Like, there were very few times that I didn't just sit for hours until I got through.
Yeah.
It's.
That was just like, and you had to find the dungeons and everything. Like, they didn't tell you where. You had to figure this out. It was just, exploration was just it was such a great game. And like the sequels, like Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, that was not so good. I did not like that game at all. I don't like where it went. So I'm glad they went back with the SNES to Link to the Past, which was another excellent game. 10 out of 10 as well. But, and then most of the sequels are really that way too. There's really not any really bad Zelda games. Even like Wind Waker I liked.
I know a lot of people didn't like Wind Waker, but that was when you got into the story behind it and the legend and how all these things tie together. And after you've played enough of them, you try to figure out where the connections are. And there's a whole big mythos online about that. And there's some official publications, but they keep doing stuff. And honestly, the Breath of the Wild, it took me years before I got into that and started playing that one. And I hate that it took me years to do that, because even there, they just keep building on the perfect formula. And like you said, no bad Zelda games. There's games that are not as good as others, but they're still all stand up against
They're still
everything
heads and shoulders
that's out
above
there.
other games.
Yeah.
Well, I know there was a the Twilight
Princess. That was the Wii one. So that was where they.
So that one had. It's called the Twilight Hack, and you could, if you had a copy of that game, you put it in your Wii, and you had to go to a certain part of the game, and I forget how it worked, but you had to do something, and it would unlock your Wii, and then it was called the Twilight Hack, and now you could put other games on that. So I've done that to my Wii. I've basically hacked the Wii using that Twilight Hack. Now that was long ago, right? The first Wii. But yeah, that was like one of the first hacks ever for the Wii, called the Twilight Hack.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So thanks, Zelda.
Yeah.
Give me more games.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep buying them. Everybody does. I mean, look how good this last one did. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Yep.
Well, Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Anytime they come out with a new one, it's gonna be gonna be a hit.
Although I don't really like the weapon breaking stuff. But,
Yeah, that's not the greatest.
Yeah.
But again, that's the aspect of not holding your hand and
right.
making you work for it. And I'm happy to work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it taught us. Nintendo taught us to work hard for it. So I have something special
Okay.
that I wanted to do. So I got something here, and this is the top 10 best-selling Nintendo games of all time.
Okay.
So I want to see if they could figure out what they think the top selling now. How many copies were sold of the Nintendo games? So I have top 10. So tell me, what do you think number 10 would be? And if I'm going to look at it now, so some are... most of these are on our list. Some of these are on our list.
We won't get them in order. So if we say
Okay.
them, will you cross them off then?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I got one question for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So here's the thing: like, if it's the game that most people had, everyone's going to have Super Mario Brothers,
Correct.
because they came with the console.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
okay.
So if they're
what number
including,
would that be?
so if
1,
they're
10,
including
5?
separate sales, then I don't know. Maybe 3 will outsell that. But if it's not, I have to go with that's got to be the number 1.
So I'm not going by money. I'm going by number of copies sold.
Then it has to
Then
be
I'd have to be.
number. It's got to be Super Mario Brothers, and Duck Hunt has to be on there too because they
Right.
packed them in together.
All right, so you were right. Number 1 of all time is Super Mario Brothers at 40.24 million.
Okay.
Number 2 is Duck Hunt at 28.31 million. So these guys know what they're
All right.
talking about.
How about Super Mario 3? Actually, 2 I think would maybe be higher.
Super Mario Brothers 3 is number 3.
3,
Now
okay.
you're in order. Look, you're going in order
All right.
here. So that's at
2's in there.
17.28. So 17 million copies of that. Super Mario 2 is number 4.
Okay. So
now
far,
it
we're
jumps
still good.
down though to 7.46 million,
What's
which I
Tetris?
really thought that would be
How about
more.
Tetris?
I bet you that made it. I know it was on the big seller on the Game Boy.
Well, yeah, because that was a pack in with some Game Boys, and that was the reason to own a Game Boy
Yeah, right.
for a lot of people. So
Yep, Tetris is on
on
there.
there?
Tetris is number 6 at 5.5 million.
Zelda.
5.5.
Zelda's got to be on there.
Legend of Zelda is number 5. That's
Okay.
at
That's
6
good.
point.
At least there's
5
some
million.
justice in this world.
Right.
All right, so you have 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
almost
Metroid?
Did not make the list.
Yeah,
Metroid
I
did
think
not
that
make-
was more of a
Kid
niche thing.
Icarus did not make the list.
Castlevania,
Actually, it was your number 10.
Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario
Oh.
was number 7 all time.
That
at
makes sense, too.
4.85 million sold.
Mario
Contra?
properties are going to sell.
Surprisingly,
Really?
Contra did not make
Punch
it.
Out. Punch Out's got to be one.
Punch Out did not make it. I know.
How about Excite Bike?
Excite Bike is number 10
Whoa.
at 4 million. 4.16
Okay.
million.
All right.
So you have 8 and 9.
The other ones, did we talk about them today at all?
You did talk about this one, but you
What'd you
thought
got?
you said it wasn't as good as the first, and it went off on the
So
You
Mega
just
Man
talked about
2?
Zelda. This-
Zelda 2
Yeah.
was
Oh.
number 8. The Adventures of Link at 4.38 million. So we only have number 9.
I'm at a
I
loss
said
here.
this was one of my honorable mentions. I said it had high replay value. I said it was one of the hardest games ever to beat.
Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at
Oh,
4.7 million. Yeah.
Okay.
That many
So-
masochists in the world.
So
Right.
going through again, Super Mario Brothers number 1, Duck Hunt 2, Super Mario Brothers 3 was number 3, Super Mario Brothers 2 was number 4, number 5 was The Legend of Zelda, number 6 was Tetris, number 7 was Dr. Mario, number 8 Zelda 2, number 9 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and number 10 Excite Bike. So those were the most sold games of Nintendo games, NES games of all time.
I remember seeing that.
Checks
Pretty
out.
cool.
I remember being such a huge Turtles fan because I was a comic book,
Right.
fanatic. And I remember like reading originally the Turtles by Mirage Comics back in the day, the black and whites, and I was like, they're coming out with the Ninja Turtles games. I saw on the back of a comic. I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't wait for this. I still remember, and like it took forever to come out. And I was like thinking it was not going to happen,
And it did.
but it did. And like,
It's too hard. Do you own that comic book?
oh, I lots of them.
Do you own that first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book, the black and white?
Oh yeah, I have.
So I think that's worth some.
One of
moolah.
my first Ninja Turtles comic. Actually, I think I don't have a first printing of one, but I have a first printing of number
okay.
2. Actually, maybe it's the second printing because it's got like
Right,
the
you
April
know the
O'Neil
first
cover.
printing, but yeah.
But
The
see,
first printing.
it just like the artwork like jumped out at me in the comics shop. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, look at this. You know, so it was Ninja Turtles #2, first comic
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles I ever read. Took it home, loved it, went out and got more. You know,
So what's cool about that, I think, and I may be wrong about this, but I think I remember hearing years ago, it was The Walking Dead. They did a black and white version of their comic book, and they took it after because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that they're black and white. And I guess he was a fan, or Kirkman was
Yeah,
a fan,
yeah.
and did that. Now, don't quote me on that. I just think
Yeah.
I heard that.
And now I think they did a colored version.
Sticking
of it.
out?
They released it was like a deluxe version. I think with maybe it's colorized. I think, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. But I remember that with Turtles though, when I saw that, I was watching TV and I saw the Turtles theme come on when that before the first the pilot 5 episodes came out.
Yeah.
Seeing that come out as a Turtles fan, and I didn't know anything about it. We didn't have internet back in those days, so
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, a Turtles cartoon. That's so. And yeah, we got a gentrified version, a kiddie version.
Yeah.
And it was still great, though. I didn't care.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was.
That was a great show.
because
I love
like
that cartoon.
the comic, man, the
I
comic
love
book
that.
was blood. That was
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
never read the comic book ones. I didn't
yeah.
get the comic books till I was older. I think because of you. I think I
Oh,
did too.
yeah, good stuff.
So pretty cool.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah, it was. I had a really good time doing this. I
Yeah,
like to
thank
do
you.
some more of these. I like to, some NES. I like to do that. You know what I mean? Some,
It was a lot more fun to do this than it was to actually knock things off of my top 10.
that was
I have to be
hard.
honest.
Yeah.
I left a part of my soul.
I know. I really like to revisit this, like maybe in a year or two and redo a top 25 and talk about them and see if anything changed. I don't think some of them are going to change for me, but
Yeah,
But
no.
I really would like to talk about the ones that got the axe. It seems unjust not to talk about things and cut them off the list.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right.
Do the top 10 that never was.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can do that. All right.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thanks to everybody for joining us. We have a lot planned, so if you would please like, subscribe, and if you agree with our picks, you disagree with our picks, feel free to leave in the comments. We'll have a little talk about it. We'd like to, hear your opinions.
And we
So,
will get better
Yeah,
as we do
yeah,
it.
Yeah, it's
If you
one of
have
our,
any ideas,
it's our first
always
live video.
welcome.
So if you have any ideas, any pointers, feel free to, lay it on us.
A list that you'd like to see from
Yes,
our
yes.
perspective.
Yeah. So you've been given 3 lives. So put on your power glove
Oh,
and
yeah.
shoot for the stars.
I love it.
Arcade Decade out.
Oh, gosh. I should have whistled it, not
Yeah, right?
bumped it.
I was going to tell you,
Yeah.
don't quit your day job with the singing there, but.
All right.